Have you ever wondered if what you're eating is healthy to your body or not? We think we're eating healthy, but is the time that you're eating it or the combination of foods that you're eating it is to your advantage? Is your exercising in the morning versus exercising in the evening good for you? All these questions can be answered simply by monitoring your glucose. And so in today's class, of course, we have the body whisperer, Dr. Jennifer Gramith, in the classroom, but she's going to help me start my journey with monitoring my glucose levels. I'm going to say something to you that I think I've said before, that when I turned 61, I noticed an incredible change in my body. And it's not been good for the better. And so we've been working on, is it my hormones? Is it my thyroid? Is it whatever it is? But what if it's the glucose levels that are sending misfiring information, misinformation, disinformation to my body? Well, today we're going to end that. We're going to start learning, and I'm going to be putting this on my arm so that we start the journey together with Dr. Jennifer Gramith, who is an incredible naturopathic doctor. She knows the body inside and out. So I'm excited because we're going to learn and grow together. So get your paper and your pencils because we are going to learn and grow together.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I am a certified life coach. I'm a certified holistic cancer coach and the host of The Classroom. If this is the first time you're in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, that's you, my listening friend and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, like I said, this year, and perhaps is that it's finally caught up to me, who knows? But I don't buy into because I am in my 60s, all of a sudden my body is going to go haywire. Well, in learning from Dr. Gramith and other doctors, that this is very critical to our body, the glucose monitoring. Well, you might see a little tear in the classroom today because Dr. Gramith is going to help me apply this on my left arm because I am right-handed. And since this is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to do just that. Welcome to the classroom, Dr. Jen.
Thank you, Lillian. It's a pleasure as always to be here. I'm super excited about today's classroom and just kind of, giving out the information that I think is much needed in today's time because metabolic disease, and that's what we're going to be talking about, is huge today in younger generation, middle-aged and older. It used to be a problem of more of the older population, but now we're seeing it in children, mothers that are pregnant with metabolic diseases, babies being born with metabolic diseases. There's only about 12% of our population that is not in metabolic crisis. So it's a big deal.
Now, I have heard you, and I'm so grateful to you. I've heard you say just in the entrance, metabolic diseases many times. That is a new term. It's
Yeah.
relatively a new terminology. Let's dive into what is a metabolic disease, because I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and she was saying that most diseases are because of your DNA. So let's talk about the difference between something that is a DNA disease versus a metabolic disease?
Right. So, I think that is more of a mindset of the way mainstream medicine has practiced in the past. Everything going back to genetics, that we're victims, we can't do anything about it. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Only 5% of the diseases, the chronic illnesses out there are genetically, related. And so even if it is genetic, um, there's a lot you can do to turn those genes on or off. And so you don't give up with that. But 95% of the cases of metabolic disease, which is diabetes, cancer, heart disease, all of the number one killers, autoimmune, all of these are metabolic diseases. And metabolic diseases are caused from lifestyle, eating highly processed foods, lack of exercise, living sedentary lifestyles, exposures to environmental toxins, and then a little piece of that would be possible genetics.
Thank you for that explanation. And it's funny. And when I've given talks, and I know that when you and I have been together and we've done the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, which by the way, this year is going to be dedicated to autoimmune diseases and cancer. So that's what our focus is going to be in the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, because many people spend the majority of their time focused on that 5%. It's like in your body, if it's mindset, let's take that mindset, which kind of promotes how we live our life. We spend most of our time trying to kind of fix the body, but really there's a component of emotional, spiritual, and also the lifestyle that we have. What do you say to that?
Definitely agree that you can't just treat the symptom that the body is giving if you want to get to the root cause. And that's what functional practitioners like myself were all about. Why is it that you have this pain and inflammation? You know, where is that coming from? Is it hormones? Is it environmental? Is it emotional stress? The causes can be so different from one person to the next.
Mhm.
And you can't truly help them to recover and to heal if you don't know what that cause is. And so it could be, I mean, there's been many cases that it's been 100% emotional trauma that people didn't want to deal with.
Mhm.
Things they may not even remembered until they were, older. So, the emotional component, as you've heard me say so many times, is critical that we get to that. So you do have to treat mind, body, spirit.
Without a doubt. And so I just want to clarify that because I was asked to give a talk in a group about holistic treatments, for cancer. And yes, we could talk about all the things about the body, but the mindset and the way that we think about ourselves, the way that we refuse to forgive, or that's where I spent the majority of the time. And they want to know if, if hyperbaric chambers work, or if,
Yeah,
radiating the blood works, all these things, vitamin C, all those things. Yes, they work. But if your mindset is not in that intentional place where you're willing to do whatever you need to do to kind of dig
right.
that stuff that we really don't want to dig. But most people can't make that connection between the mindset and dis-ease. So
Right.
that could be another classroom for us. But today we're going to be talking about these metabolic, like what you call AKA lifestyle choices, lifestyle diseases, this is the good news. This is such good news that if we created it by our lifestyle, the way we think, the way we act, and all those things, we have the power to reverse it, right?
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does monitoring glucose becomes a favored thing to diagnose or address these metabolic issues?
Right. So that's a great question because we think glucose, oh, well, I don't eat sugar, or oh, I don't eat that many carbs. Well, glucose spikes in the blood is not just about your what you're eating. However, that does play a key role, but you will, once you start monitoring yourself, you will see how stress in your life is triggering high glucose spike because glucose is energy. And your cells, when you're in fight or flight, your cells need that glucose in order to give your muscles the energy to run away from. And so that's why, if your glucose levels in the blood are too low and you are frightened, then your hormones are released, cortisol and epinephrine, things like that, or adrenaline, and you get really excited, but you can't move if you don't have enough glucose to move into the muscles to give the muscles energy to run away from. And so this is your body's process that happens day in and day out. And so what I have been most amazed, because I think of myself as a pretty positive person. I'm not negative about things, not out loud, but what was going on in my, back of my mind, the thoughts and the things that I was saying to myself were very destructive. And that caused me to stay into a chronic state of stress, which caused my glucose levels to be chronically high and stay high for hours, which created a cascade of inflammation in my body. And you'll see that when you start monitoring yourself. Many of my clients come to me and they're like, I finally got the diet right, but then I had to study for a big exam and I was really stressed out and I was doing so good. And then my blood glucose just went haywire. And that just shows you, again, what stress does. But then the key thing, Lillian, is not to freak out because you see these glucose spikes, but to know what it's doing to your body so that you can take active steps. And we're going to talk about those hacks today of how to get that glucose back down so you can have optimal health and repair or reverse your metabolic disease process. And like I said, only 12% of our population is metabolically sound. That's scary numbers. Only
12% of our
12%.
population is metabolically sound.
That is
12%.
true. Yeah. And it's increasing. The last study I heard, it's increasing by about 8% annually, the amount of people diagnosed with new metabolic diseases. So we're at record highs. It's doesn't look good. I mean, for the predictions that they're predicting by 2040 is scary, and especially for our children and our grandchildren. And so, like I said, before the classroom, when we were talking pregnancy, there's a lot of fertility issues, but moms that are able to carry children, young moms, are already in a metabolic disease pattern. And so they're birthing children with metabolic disease. So just imagine the impact that that's going to have on our society. According to research and scientists that study our DNA, our bodies are made to live 140 years.
Wow.
Well, the average lifespan right now, is in the 70s. And so that's half of the lifespan that we should be living. And think about the patients that are the people who are dying younger and younger. The quality of life that they have is very poor too. And so, suffering from, type 2 diabetes or cancer or even heart disease, autoimmune disease, there's a lot of suffering and it shouldn't be that way. And this is one way that you as a population can really help yourself to kind of shift this paradigm so that we don't keep bringing more and more children into the world with metabolic diseases. So it's up to us now to educate the public and take back our health. I love the fact that John F. Kennedy is talking about, the health of Americans. I think that is so critical. We have lost that in mainstream medicine. It's all just been, more about symptom treating, but, you got to get back to the bases. What are you putting into your body? And how are you dealing with stress on a daily basis? I've seen more and more young people, and I didn't share this with you last time, but I did monitor my granddaughter, and she's 13 years old, and I was um, surprised to see that I see the same issues with her that I see in the adult population. The high blood glucose spikes, the prediabetes numbers, the chronic inflammation. And so, and she's a granddaughter of a naturopath. And her mother is very mindful of what they eat and not eating a lot of processed, foods, things like that. So can you imagine these children that are
Wow.
just raised on highly processed foods?
So if your granddaughter at 13, you're seeing the same results in adults and she's eating well, what is causing the high glucose? I'm just assuming there's a high glucose with your 13-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I'm making the wrong assumption, but what would be different? What would cause a 13-year-old to have high spikes in glucose compared to an adult? What is,
Right. I mean,
because,
it's the same thing. It's the same diet. It's the same lifestyle. These children are dealing with a lot more stress, mental, emotional stress than, we've seen before in our society. And so I think it's a combination of that. And the fact that, there are several generations down from, eating a healthy diet. And so she's not, of course, she is a 13-year-old. She doesn't eat perfectly
hmm
healthy all the time, but she is above average compared to the, standard American diet. So,
yeah,
there it was really eye-opening for her to see, wow, when I do eat that, this is what happens to my body. And this is
yeah,
why, I don't feel good in the afternoon after I eat a high carb, meal and not enough protein. And so it was really eye-opening for her and her mother to see, the different, or that they were very similar in their blood sugar readings.
wow. So once you read these readings, like you find out what the patterns are, how long does it take? Because one of the things that I want to accomplish is, what should we know prior to and during about the glucose monitoring, the continuous glucose monitoring, that we can ourselves, reverse or tweak while we're doing this so that we know it's working or not working.
Right. So, when you get the glucose monitor put in, it's going to last you about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so you're going to be collecting data. The first few days, you typically want to eat like you normally eat. And you want to see what your standard diet that you're doing day to day, your level of stress, your exercise, how your body is reacting to that. And so you don't want to change anything for the at least first 48 hours. Some people do it for the first week, and they try different things that they normally will eat. And so that's, you want to get that baseline of, okay, the diet that I have today, how is my body responding to it? Is it good? It will surprise you because, I was under the assumption that I was doing everything right for my blood type, blood type diet type, type A. So I eat mostly plant-based but beans and legumes would shoot mine up to diabetic levels. And, me thinking that was a better option, it was not a good option for me. And it was why I was having a lot of joint pain and fatigue. And so when you start tracking, you want to keep a log inside the app of the foods that you eat, the levels of stress that you have, so that when we meet to talk about your numbers, I can help critique that. So what I'm looking, at is how long are you in your target range, which target range for optimal health is 70 to 90 for fasting glucose. That means first thing in the morning, at least a 12-hour fast. And then 70 to 120 with meals, throughout the day. So you don't want to go above 120 for optimal health. And so if you eat, let's say you get up in the morning, you have a little bran muffin and some orange juice, and you see that your blood sugar spikes to about 180, you know that that is not a good thing. And typically you'll get your highest spike within 30 minutes. And so when you see that on your app, you'll see your number and an arrow beside your number. If the arrow is pointing straight up, it means you're still rising. It's going to go higher than that, and then it will level out, and you'll see the arrow indicate that it's leveling out. So ideally, you want to have something else for breakfast than, something that's going to spike your blood sugar over 120. And so, I'm not big on high carb, sugar, breakfast. So, that's probably the worst thing for you to eat first thing in
So
the
what would
morning
be an
because
example of a good breakfast to eat, Dr.
it
Jen?
depends on the person. So that's the problem, Lillian, is that we don't know until we monitor your glucose. Because as I monitored patients, I would have them eat the same things that I would eat, and they would get total different responses.
Wow.
So, if I ate a cookie, mine would shoot up, even if it was all organic, good monk fruit, it
Yeah.
would shoot it up high. The next person eat the same exact thing, it would maybe elevate it 10 points and it would stay within optimal range. And so
Mm.
everybody's different how they respond. So that's why I no longer just, think that I know what's best for them. I want to monitor, I want to see what's best for them, because you can also wake up with a high cortisol spike because you didn't sleep good the night before, you're under a lot of stress. And that, if you eat a certain meal or if you go out and exercise, that can shoot it up. Where you would think that that would might, possibly lower it. So you're going to learn hacks, during the show today of what you would do if you see your numbers start to rise. And so again, target range 70 to 120 would be, throughout the whole day. 70 to 90 is the optimal for fasting blood glucose. And anything above that creates cascade of inflammation. And it's also important to know how long do you stay with that elevated glucose. That tells you if the pancreas is just not producing enough insulin to bring that down, like it's dysfunction, there's dysfunction in the pancreas, or are you insulin resistant? Your pancreas is pushing out insulin, but it's not getting into the cells. And so, you'll see that too. And that's all determined by how quickly you rebound back to your base fasting or pre-meal range. Should only take 90 minutes from the time that you eat. You get 30 minutes, so you should be at your highest peak. And then it should go back to baseline at 60 minutes after that. And so a total of 90 minutes, you should be back to baseline, but you rarely see this happening. What I typically see, Lillian, is people will get that spike 30 minutes. It'll be pretty high. It'll continue to spike, and then it will level off, and it will take hours before it gets back to baseline. And sometimes it just doesn't get back to the fasting until the next day. And so they have elevated
Wow.
glucose. all day long. These are the patients struggling with cognitive issues. They have pain, systemic pain in their body. They have no motivation, loss of libido, things like that, and muscle weakness as well.
What would be a quick hack to lower that glucose? Because if you're saying you want, because I ate breakfast before we met, and my breakfast today, and I've never done this before where I added a banana. I don't eat bananas very often anymore. I used to, and I'll have them in my smoothie, but that's about it.
Right.
But I had watermelon with coconut shredded unsweetened shredded coconut flakes,
Mhm.
walnuts, and a little bit of cinnamon on it. But today I added a banana. I don't know why I added a banana. Maybe I wanted to sabotage myself. I don't know. But I'm curious as to what my numbers would be at this point. Because
Right,
usually when I do a fasting blood glucose, it's usually less than 90, between
right.
85 and 90. I've never gone over 90. I've never seen it in my body. But,
Mhm.
I don't know what's happened to me in the last year. So,
Right.
would it be good for now to do this? So, because I know that the first result comes in within an hour of putting this in. Should we show how to apply this or
Yeah,
should
go
we
ahead.
wait?
Let's, no,
Okay.
I'd go ahead and show how to apply it.
Okay.
It's very, very simple. Go ahead and take it out of the box.
I'm gonna take it out of the box. Here we go. So what is this? This is the,
That's the actual needle application. So you take the other one out, take the other
okay.
piece out. All right. And so what you're going to do, you're going to peel the top off, making sure not to touch in, not that one, the other
Oh,
one.
already messing up.
Don't
Okay.
mess it up. All
Okay.
right. Peel
So
the
peel
top
the
off,
top.
making sure that you're not touching anything on the inside.
Wow, this is okay. Here we
There
go.
you go. All
Okay.
right. Take it all the way off and
All
then
the way off.
unscrew the top of the other device. Yep. Take the plastic cap off. Don't touch anything on that either. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now lay the plastic cap down, the bottom part, and you're going to take the gray top
Oh,
with the other cup
okay.
and see there should be a line. So you see where it sticks out right there. There's a
Yeah.
line there and there's a line up there, and they should
This line right here.
I think so. Turn it and it's gonna snap right down. Yeah.
Okay. So if I
You
put
may
it right here,
no, you gotta line it up with that. There you go.
okay.
And then push it all the way down. All
Okay.
right. Yeah, leave it, set it down. Just
Okay.
set it down and let's wipe the alcohol on the back of your arm.
Oh,
And
I
you
don't get to
want it,
drink it? Okay.
yeah, you want it to be kind of on the fatty area of the arm, which you don't have that much.
I
But
do.
just
I
get,
do. I do. I do. I do have the fatty area.
okay. And
Okay.
then let that dry a
So,
little bit because that's the only thing that will sting if you don't let the alcohol dry
oh man,
when you
I'm pretty dirty. Is that my
put
skin? Is that my dead skin? Oh my. I need to
it's
wash my
fine.
body in alcohol. Okay.
All right, let
Okay.
it dry.
Okay.
And then go ahead and with your right hand, pull that cap off just like that. And then I
Wait,
want you to,
there's still something in here though.
yep, yep, it's fine. It's in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay.
It's in
And
here?
then yeah. And then I want you to just push
Right
it into
here?
your arm.
Right
Mhm.
here?
Yep,
Is
push it
that or
in.
because you've got it more over here, so should I put
It
it right
doesn't
here?
matter. It just,
Is it
yeah.
too high? Or how should I put it right
No,
here?
just as long, it can be anywhere. Push
Okay, good.
hard.
Push hard. Okay,
Yep, push
ready?
hard.
Everybody say a little prayer.
You can do it. There you
Okay.
go. Now take it off. Oh, don't pull. Wait a minute. You what? I think you must. I don't know what you did there. Yeah, it didn't go.
Oh,
Oh no.
can I use it
Yeah, it's not
again?
difficult.
Huh?
Yeah, it's push it
It's a,
in. Yeah, push it in. Makes the sticky tape around it. Make sure it is. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to get work, Lillian, but try it. the sticky part
I'm always
around.
so difficult, aren't I? Okay, I've got it in.
So is it staying on?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have inside your box a little cover?
In here?
No, it would be inside the box that we sent you.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Maybe
fine.
it's
You can,
in here. Maybe it's in here. Hold on a second. No.
okay. Well,
Okay.
I usually just put a little Band-Aid or something over if I don't have a cover.
Okay.
All right. So now go back to your phone. Let's see if we can activate it if it stayed in.
Okay. So for those of you who would like to learn how to download it into your app or whatever, um, uh, Dr. Jen and I recorded an information kind of video that you can request it at 407-373-5959, or email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com and I will certainly send that to you. Okay, so right now I'm in this picture right here.
You want to say scan new sensor up there
Scan
at
new
the blue.
sensor.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then it shows you how to hold it over it. So you're going to take the back of your phone, you're going to hold it over the sensor, go up a little bit where you're covering the sensor, and then you'll feel it vibrate. You should feel it vibrate when it gets it. Just hold it still.
I heard it. Okay. So it now says important. Do not take high dose of vitamin C more than
Hit
500
okay.
milligrams per day, which I do. But
That's,
can you
yeah.
share a little disclosure? Because I do high dose vitamin C, but I do
And
it
I do,
orally.
yeah, I do too. And usually when it's oral, it's not an issue. Um, it takes 60 minutes for it to calibrate in your arm before you start getting your first readings.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you want
So
to
go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to what?
you want to get a Band-Aid or something to put over so that holds it on since the adhesive around it, you know, you peeled that off when you took it off. But usually if your arm is dry from the alcohol and you do that, it's not going to come, the adhesive's going to stick to the dry arm.
Okay.
And then you shower in it, you can swim in it, you can get in a sauna in it. There's no restrictions. Once it's on, it will stay on for the 14 days. So, and
Okay.
did it hurt?
It did not hurt at all.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know. I told
usually,
you.
usually when you're getting the fingerprint, you're just like waiting for that clicking noise, and you're like the click noise hurts more than the actual prick. You know,
I
the
know.
anticipation.
Yeah.
But I had asked you last night via text, do you think I'm going to shed a few tears today? And you said no, and I did not. Very proud, I did
I
not. But
know.
I'm
Well,
I'm I'm still looking at the how dark this is. I need to.
uh,
I think I've got some dead skin I need to scrub off of me.
yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's why. But no, I have a needle phobia. You would not believe that with my background in nursing. And I'm good at sticking other people, but when I was in school, I would almost pass out because back in the days when I went to nursing school, we had to practice on one another. And so we didn't have the mechanical arms and all that stuff. So I would almost pass out every time.
Wow.
So if I can do this, anybody can do
Well,
this,
I
you know.
will say, I thought it was going to feel like an injection or a shot or anything like that. It did not. It did not feel
Don't
at
feel it.
all. And as you saw, it was falling out, but it was able to go back in.
Right,
And normally you don't want to reuse it if it falls out. If I would have taken it and maybe put it down, now it's invalidated, right?
right. So you
What is
want
the
to get
cost
it.
of this? What is the cost of the
They're about
sensor?
$125,
Okay.
for each 14 day.
Okay.
So they're not, yeah, it's not inexpensive for sure, but it will give you, I've been wearing one for almost a year now. Um, as part of research, and it's been fascinating. It's also been fascinating for me to see how my hormones impact my glucose levels. We talked about how your diet can how stress can, how exercise can, but your hormone, especially those women that are still cycling, or if you have PCOS or, anything like that, when your progesterone levels are elevated, which is usually right before you start, right after ovulation, before you start your period. You'll notice that, like, because I fast once a week for 36 hours. But that progesterone week, when my progesterone is at its highest, I will wake up with a elevated, or I have in the past, with an elevated fasting glucose that, can be as high as 110 or 120, which would be anything over 120 would be considered pre-diabetes.
Wait,
That,
so I just heard you say that when your progesterone spikes, but I thought
hmm
that progesterone, okay, so I learned this from the doctor that does Dr. Platt.
yeah,
Remember we had him
yeah,
talk at
yeah, I
the
like your stuff.
I love
Mhm.
him. Anyway, with Dr. Platt, the progesterone, he was saying that when you have your your progesterone imbalance, or you use the higher dose progesterone cream, then your cortisol will go down. But you're
Mhm.
saying that the glucose goes up?
Yeah, the glucose will go up. So with estrogen, actually will lower glucose, and
Really?
progesterone will increase glucose. Now, many of us that are menopausal, or post or perimenopausal, we're just really deficient in all of it. So this is just watching the fluctuation in your natural cycle and how it, creates inflammation in your body. And
Wow.
so, as you know, that a lot of times right before you start your period, you'll have a lot of symptoms. Well, why are you having those symptoms?
Mm-hmm.
Of feeling bloated, of feeling, joint pain, inflammation, can't think straight. And it's because of those glucose spikes. And then as soon as you start your period, those levels come down and you're like, I feel much better, all of a sudden. Now, some women, I'm sharing my experience. Some women have horrific symptoms all through cycle, and typically it's hormone imbalance. And so, but a normal, healthy hormone cycle, you're going to still see a spike in glucose,
Well, this is
progesterone.
going to be interesting because I had my uterus removed at the age of 41, maybe 40. So it was 2006. So
Right.
I had my uterus removed at that point. And so it put me into menopause, I guess.
Right.
I still have my ovaries, I still have my cervix, but I don't go through, maybe I do, through the ebbs and flow. I am on estriol. I changed from estradiol. I do take a
hmm
little bit of estradiol, but mostly estriol, because estradiol has some benefits as well, but just not
Right.
that much. I just do some topical creams. I don't do
hmm
oral tablets or patches or anything like that. I
Yeah.
also am now taking an oral progesterone because the topical progesterone wasn't moving my progesterone at all. It wasn't.
Right. Yeah.
But it does have a calming effect. It does have other benefits. So I started doing an oral progesterone, also compounded, natural compound. So with that in mind,
When were you testing your progesterone? When you tested it, what time in the month was it?
you know what?
Based upon, yeah, see that.
I don't think that we did check what time of the month it would be. I mean, I could go back and look at when it was drawn, but and I could tell you
That's
what
a
time of the
significant, yeah, that's a
interesting,
significant point because, your body still has the memory of your cycle pre your hysterectomy. And so if you measure when your levels are supposed to be high estrogen and low progesterone, then you're going to get a low progesterone. If
interesting,
yeah, so it really does matter when you measure your hormones, too, when you're using things like the creams or the oral versus, um,
interesting,
yeah. So,
interesting.
but it just blew my mind on, the days that I was fasting, doing my water fast, how it would impact my glucose levels would be
Hmm.
impacted. I just really never saw that connection before, even thought about that connection before. So now that I've regulated it, I don't have any of the menstrual symptoms, and I'm still
Wow.
menstruating, on a regular basis. I don't have any of the symptoms. I feel great all the time. I don't have those emotional mood swings.
Hmm.
And so I've been able to learn a few hacks on how to
Okay.
lower that glucose and that cycle, time. And so I do exercise at a certain time. The fasting has made a huge difference in balancing my hormones with fasting for 36 hours once a week. And I don't fast the week of the progesterone because it's not an ideal time to fast when your progesterone levels are high.
Wow.
You
Wow.
That's when you'll crave carbs and things like that.
No.
Too.
Okay.
Yeah.
By then it's too late because you've eaten all the carbs. So,
Yeah.
all the chips
Yeah.
and potatoes and all that stuff in here. So before we move on to the hacks, I want to
Okay.
remind all of you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please, while you're there, please subscribe to my website and also to all my social media channels, including BitChute. We're going to be bringing some guests in the classroom that are maybe a little controversial, and we're going to delete and omit anything that YouTube or Facebook might deem, misinformation or censorship type of thing. So go to our BitChute account, go to my BitChute account, please subscribe there so that doctors and guests and teachers can be um, left to speak their mind and share it. But all of the information will be included in the BitChute account, not in the other social
Mhm.
media accounts. So just so that you know. So that is important. Go to my sponsorship page. And there's Dr. Jennifer Gramith is there. Support her the way that she is supporting the classroom. And all of her information can be found behind me. I just want it with me all the time so that when she's in the classroom, you'll know when you hear her, you're going to want to go to her website. So you can go to Rightway Health and Wellness. You can go to shoprightwayhealth.com. And this is where you can call 404-474-2100 to start your journey. If you're interested in learning more and you're curious about how glucose is affecting your body, I'm personally so excited to learn this information. So go and support our sponsors the way that they are supporting the classroom. You can go to the Shop Now bag. In the Shop Now bag, these are all Lilly approved. Some of them are affiliates, some of them are not. But all of it are Lilly approved. So you can go to that channel. You can support the classroom by purchasing, whether it's Dr. Lorraine Day's, 100 Lessons from the Exodus or Book of Revelation, all the way to, being pain-free naturally. So check out the different options that you can find there. You can also become an enrolled student in the classroom, and whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, or one-time donation or regular monthly donation, anything that you can do, sharing this video with someone you love, or maybe a neighbor, or maybe you were having this conversation or you heard about it from someone else, and you can say, oh, this is more education for you that you can learn to do whatever it is that your body is resonating towards, then do that. Put emojis, put comments. That will help the algorithms not be able to hide us as well if you are doing your part. And so finally, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Jennifer Gramith for always sharing her wisdom in the classroom. And this is truly we've been talking about glucose monitoring now for maybe 2, 3 years with you, but this is the first time it's continuous glucose monitoring, which is how has that helped you as a doctor with your patients and guide them in a different way?
Right. It's been a game changer, Lillian. No longer do we have to, try to figure out what's working, what's not. We can actually see it in real time. And, it helps to hold the client accountable too. And because, I've learned as a practitioner, I can recommend supplementation, medication, whatever to clients. But if you don't deal with this aspect of their health, it's in vain. A lot of times you can take all of these supplements, you can do, these lifestyle changes, but if you're still getting these glucose spikes and and you discover their insulin resistance, their pancreas is not functioning properly. If you do not correct that, it's going to be a huge burden on the immune system. And I do strongly believe this is why we have so many metabolic disease processes happening in our society. And especially my biggest concern is the younger generations, now what kind of life they're going to have if this is not corrected and we do not help, teach them about this. This is a great tool to have. And because it will tell you if what you're doing, you no longer have to wait 6 months before you know if what you're doing is working. You're going to see it, because if you get this in optimal levels, then you're going to see transition in every aspect of your health, mental health, physical health, lab numbers. Your doctor is going to be very, very pleased with your success. And so, highly recommended. It's like I said, it's been a game changer. In learning more about your body is wonderful. There's so many mysteries of how our body works, but this is just one little mystery, or was a mystery that's no longer. And you hear doctors talking about this is the hot topic because of research that has been coming out. You'll hear Dr. Mark Hyman talking about that. He actually wrote a book on it. You hear Jockers and Axe and Mercola and, our friends, Dr. Cowden. It is a huge issue. But like I said, it's a huge issue because the majority of the population has this problem. And so, most of you that's going to put these on your arm, you're going to really be able to transform your life. And if you're already in a metabolic disease process, you can help reverse that. If you continue to live the lifestyle that produces these high glucose spikes and drops, your metabolic diseases will increase, continue to, progress in the wrong direction. And so, again, it's all up to you. And so I will teach you what all of these numbers mean and how you can correct them. So I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but let's talk about some of those hacks because,
Yes.
yeah, because that's important. You get the
Yeah.
numbers. Well, what do I do?
Yes.
And so sometimes, like I said, it has studies have shown that if you walk, or it's not high intensity exercise, but walking, jogging, um, those are great ways to blunt a spiked glucose.
So what about rebounding? Can we have like a little
Rebounding,
rebounder?
rebounding is also a great way to do it. So if you start to see your glucose numbers go up after your lunch and you're seeing that they're trending too high, go for a walk around your office and you'll see within 10 minutes it will blunt the spike and bring it back down to optimal. Exercise is the only thing that really has a major impact on insulin resistance. And so you can't reverse insulin resistance unless you're exercising. So this is a big problem. I have found a product that helps with that, and it's like DGL helps. The licorice and DGL actually helps to reverse insulin resistance, but I wouldn't recommend this without exercise too. Berberine, as you know, is really good for balancing glucose levels. I use the one from Biotics. It's just a high potency, great berberine. And people can take this, with before their meals to help blunt it if they know that they're going to have a meal that might spike their glucose. There's also just the order in which you eat your food. So if you get up in the morning, like I said, and you have some kind of carbohydrate, meal with maybe some juice, thinking that, oh, that's good. consider trying something higher in protein. And so what I do, if I have a carbohydrate, I eat my protein and my fat before I eat the carb. And so it may be as simple as, if you're going to have a piece of toast, don't get highly processed, get good sprouted, high fiber, but add avocado, or add, some type of good protein, good fat. Almond butter will not, spike my glucose. And so sometimes I would just do a handful of nuts or seeds with a carb. So it's really how you dress your carbs. You don't want to eat carbs naked by themselves. And so, like you talked about this morning, it would have been interesting to see what happens, with your cinnamon. It was a great idea to sprinkle on your food, because cinnamon helps to lower blood sugars and stabilize them. Also, drinking 1 to 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in your water a couple of times a day will actually help to stop these glucose
One
spikes
to two
and help
teaspoons of
apple
for one
cider
cup.
vinegar.
One
Yeah,
to two
for one
teaspoon per
cup.
1 cup. Okay.
Yeah, and it's great for gastrointestinal issues, but apple cider vinegar really helps to blunt glucose, because it helps the microbiome in the gut. And so you'll, realize that some people who have, are on a ketogenic diet, have high levels of glucose. And it's because the microbiome of their gut is terrible. And that imbalance in the gut can cause elevated glucose levels too. And adrenal issues can cause, elevated. So sometimes you start changing their diet and you don't see the numbers coming down quick enough. You then see that in their log that they're under a lot of stress, like, it's stressful for them, the mom going to pick up her kid every day at school. You'll see a high glucose spike at that time. So you may want to recommend, some types of deep breathing techniques, teaching them how to do that. And I've done that and tested that. That actually works really well. Lillian, is for you to just take some deep belly breaths, and that will calm it down. Also, there are products like Lyzyme Forte, which is a natural lithium, that will blunt a cortisol spike, and it works as quickly as a pharmaceutical within 20 minutes of taking it. So if you know that, it stresses you out to deal with traffic to go pick up your children, take that at lunchtime, and then you'll be shocked to see that you don't have that glucose spike. So it's
Wow.
finding out the keys that really work for you, and not thinking that because this worked for someone else, it will help me, and then being disappointed. You actually see what works for you.
So which
And
one
so
of these products do you have in your website? Because for those of you
all of
who
them.
purchase, okay, shop rightwayhealth.com, you get 20% off if you enter Lily20. And so make sure
Right.
you put that so you can get your 20% off. And so any final words, because we're at the end of this, any
Yeah,
words of
there's
wisdom? I mean, because I love all the hacks. Are there any more hacks that you can share?
there's lots of hacks, and and I will share those with the people who are doing this and linked up with me. But you can also go online. We have experiments that we have you do during the time that you're monitoring yourself. So after the first 3 to 4 days, I'll have you try this and try that, and we will monitor it. And usually it takes about a month, Lily, that you want to monitor yourself to get the understanding of what causes the spikes, what lowers the spikes for you specifically. And then after that, you take that knowledge, and that's how you live,
Yeah.
your life. And it might be ideal to do that once a year,
Hmm.
and make sure that you're still right on track, doing the best things for your body. But I have found this to be the most effective way to create transformation in patients' lives, because it opens their eyes. They can see in
Yeah.
minute by minute, day by day, what their body is doing. So I hope, if you can get these sensors off of my website. You can get them, at some local pharmacies. If you don't have diabetes, your insurance will not pay for them, unfortunately. But, we're doing it to prevent diabetes, to prevent heart disease and other metabolic diseases. And you can't heal from any of those diseases if this is not addressed. And that is what we have found as functional practitioners. This is a key component in a patient healing.
This is great information. I am looking forward to it, right before the holidays too, because during the
Right.
holidays there's excess consumption sometimes, and you can learn about what your habits are and tweak them, hack it, so that we can
Right.
protect our bodies. So this is to be continued because next month we will maybe discuss the results and what I learned, and probably will continue using this throughout the
Yeah.
holidays. But if you want to start at the beginning of the year, we're almost there. So start
Yeah.
preparing for this. Thank you so much, Dr. Jen. Once again, go to rightwayhealthandwellness.com to learn more. You can also call the office at 404-474-2100, and you can get your 20% off at shoprightwayhealth.com. Thank you so much for all this information and for the privilege of being able to monitor this with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott and Dr. Jennifer Gramith wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.